this is going to net you the highest rent. This is going to net you the highest return. For those people that are working on a reno or going to be working on a reno, this is the style that so many A++ tenants are looking for, or the people that are going to be purchasing.
The interesting thing is when people are looking, if you're trying to exit a property like this, people are looking for a home, not really a house when they're looking at properties. And that differentiation could mean the difference between like tens of thousands of dollars.
Let's just jump into the deals. A house hack opportunity. This is a long-term rental. This is a 4-unit, turnkey, fully renovated. There's been over $200,000 put into this, and it is fully vacant. I really like this for several reasons. You have 5 one-bed units on Main Street in Niagara Falls. It's zone GC, so general commercial, which does allow for short-term rental. You have a massive lot. It's super, super deep, but it's wide. For the ambitious investor, possibly knock this down or build something behind it as well.
Welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I'm here with Kayla Smith, and today we're going to be looking at the Niagara region. And in case you missed it, we already covered the numbers across the market. So go back and watch that video once we're done this, but you're not going to want to go anywhere because right now Kayla's about to talk to us about a bunch of deals. And I know you guys love the Canadian Real Estate Channel for its deals. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that button right now because we're back here every single month with these market updates. And until then, Kayla, what's going on in Niagara Falls?
Not much. Super excited to dive in. We're going to chat just about like how we're seeing the market a bit, just to give everybody an idea. I don't know if you felt it in London, but we have seen a massive shift from like the beginning of December, somehow during Christmas, New Year's, and all the way to now. Things have been quite busy. I don't know what happened. Everyone went on holidays from work, and we've been very busy.
That's
Same
awesome.
in London, different in London. How are you guys seeing it?
Yeah, it was very, very, very slow in London and actually all the other markets that we look at for quite a while. Lots of inventory stacking up, not a ton of volume transacting. And now it seems like across the board markets are really starting to pick up. So obviously a little bit of that seasonality, but also I feel like just, you know, a little bit more faith coming into maybe the financing element of things and people just sort of settling into 2024.
I would tend to agree. It seems like everyone's so used to it, and real estate is so affected by the news as well. And I think we've heard some chatter. I'm not guaranteeing this in any way, shape, or form. I think we'll stay where we are for a bit, but some chatter that the rates might drop, which will affect a few things. But with that, I'm seeing some strategies that kind of fell off for a while come back, which is exciting, especially for the newer investors that are, you know, looking to scale their portfolio. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is just there is a ton of investments into the Niagara region in terms of jobs. There's new businesses opening. There are a bunch of green technology coming to the area. So tons and tons of money that's bringing a lot of pretty good paying jobs to the area. So just something to keep an eye on over the next little bit as that continues to unfold. But next, let's just jump into the deals. We're starting small and then we're going to get bigger, and we're starting res and then we're going to jump commercial.
Amazing. Yeah, we love deals here. This is perfect.
All right. So this tiny little guy, 700 square feet. Right now, it is a 1-bed, 1-bath. In 700 square feet, you can fit 2 beds. As long as like open concept, kitchen, living. Can you have 2 okay sized bedrooms, laundry? This one does need a lot of work, but if you look at the price point, it's at $319,900. It's in a nice area. It is vacant. It has been listed for 83 days. And it has a detached garage, and it's on a 34 by 118 lot. So I have run these numbers at the variable rate for Scotia, one of the higher ones. And if you can get this for, you know, a decent deal, given that there are is likely room to negotiate for how long it's been listed and it's vacant. And it does need substantial work, but even if you put, let's say, $100,000, which in a 700 square foot house is pretty substantial,
Yeah.
this works out pretty nicely because even if it appraised at $400,000, you still have a very nice BRRRR on your hands, and you also are cash flowing a tiny, tiny bit. But again, that's at that high variable rate. We all know you can lock in for 3 years a bit lower. So I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. And again, it does need substantial work, but I'm throwing out $100,000 on a 700 square foot house. That should do everything top to bottom.
Well, Kayla, for context, at $200 a square foot, you could rebuild the whole house for $140,000. So
yes,
I would suggest anybody watching this, like 700 square feet. I've done the exact same project on a house that literally looks like it maybe was a very similar layout or maybe even the exact same era of house. And I did that in London, and it costs no more than 40 grand to renovate basically everything. So if you're looking at 40 grand, add that on to 320 there, you're at 360 if it sells at asking price, which again, if it's been sitting 80 days, maybe there's some downward pressure you could put on price there.
I would guess.
What a great deal. What do you think something like this would rent for?
So because you're getting the whole house, so there's no basement in this one, but you are getting the entire house. And there is a detached garage. We're seeing stuff like this, anywhere from 21 to 23. Again, it's because you are getting that entire house. You have your own yard, you have your own garage, fully renovated, maybe even a bit more. Depends on how crafty you can get with it. But definitely, I think that there's some opportunity here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's 1, 2. I love this one. It is sold. You'll see this conditional right there. I went through this. The ceilings in the basement were 14 feet high. 14 feet.
Do a jungle gym down there.
Yeah, it was so high. It was incredible. So upstairs is a 2-bed, 1-bath. Could use some cosmetic rentals, but basically ready to go. The basement was like prepped and ready for a unit. There was a side door down to the basement. There was already a roughed-in bathroom. You're in Thorold, so you can do long-term, short-term, or student rental because you're 5 minutes from Brock. Decent-sized house, detached, fully renovated. We haven't seen a detached house like this go for less than like $650. So it's a very interesting opportunity. And then you have these 2 units where our lower 2 units, which are, I would say, maybe 10 to 11 feet, not 14. We're getting 1750. Uppers are 18, 19. Fantastic tenant pool just because you're pulling family, students, mature students, retired people, and you're also just very close to everything. The highway is maybe a minute from here. And again, I'm not saying this is a perfect BRRRR, but you can take some of your money out of this. And you're also going to be getting pretty juicy rents for, what it is. So it's saying 9 feet ceilings in the basement. I'm telling you, they were much, much higher, much, much higher. We were in there. I have a 6-foot client and they were almost double. So this
Awesome.
one I love. And the lot, and it backs onto the highway, but that doesn't really, it's far enough away that it's not going to cause any issues. It is sold, but I just wanted to say, like, this is the type of deal that we're seeing again. Detached houses for sub 500,000 that are going to be worth a lot more on the other end with cosmetic work and then the conversion. And it is zoned R2, so you can do it.
And this is fantastic. I mean, we compare a lot of other markets on the channel, right? And I'm kind of used right now to looking at Collingwood's numbers. And we're sitting somewhere around like 800, 900,000 for something like this. And the rents aren't that different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the opportunity to add a second unit or do a basement suite or even just rent out the whole house and you're in under 500K, like this is a pretty good comparison, right? To look at it. And it's like, man, you're in a city doing that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And just for context, for the people that aren't familiar with the area, like Thorold, this house specifically, it takes 1 minute to drive into St. Catharines. And I'm not kidding. Literally the highway's right there and then you're in St. Catharines. So first exit's Brock, second exit is the Penn Center, which is like the big mall.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So
And this one even has like the attached garage and everything. Like
yeah,
that's pretty awesome. I would
I
say for
love this one.
value.
Like going through this, I walked into the basement and I was like, what is happening? This is so high. And it was in like the house was in great shape. It was just some cosmetic stuff upstairs that, paint and whatever else, but upstairs was just about ready to go. And these are ideal because, you spend maybe a week, 2 weeks upstairs and it's ready to rent, and you can rent that while you're working on the basement. So you do have some income coming in while you're working on the basement.
Yeah, that's always a great point to bring up. And I know we do a lot of live shows here where I go through my calculator, and people often actually forget about the carrying cost while they're renovating.
Yeah.
So something to help you out when you have that rent coming in on at least a portion of the building, it's such a huge advantage, especially when we're talking about single family type pricing, right? Because usually you can get that advantage, but you have to go to multifamily, like larger buildings. But here with this single family, what a great advantage to have rent coming in, and it would probably cover like most of the mortgage too, which is pretty fantastic just from the one.
Yeah, this one is, like I said, this is one of the better deals I've seen in a while. I'm not surprised that they sold it, 5 days on market. The average right now is about 35. So definitely have to be quick to act on these type of deals, but it was there. It was a good one.
Fantastic. I just noticed the taxes too. Like it's just free. Yeah. This house is just free. I love it.
This one was a really good one. I was super impressed by this. Okay, this one is a house hack opportunity. This is also the street where I started my investing journey on. I house hacked on the street. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath right now. There is the opportunity to add a 5th bedroom. Most of these houses, this style, do have that. The interesting thing about this and what I did with mine was I actually lived in the basement and had my own bathroom. I still shared the kitchen and the living space, but having your own bathroom, I feel like just makes all a world of difference when you're house hacking. If you're not in a unit, like if you're sharing living space. So this was listed at $539, sold for $532. It is all built after 1990. So this is on in an area that was all built after that time. You have your 2.5 baths. It was nice. It was ready to go. And you are, again, maybe like a 7-minute drive from Brock. There is a bus stop at the end of the street that gets there in 15. So no problem renting their rooms out to students. And that's not to say it's going to cover your whole mortgage, but it's certainly going to supplement it in a great way. And room rentals right now, you're looking $600, $650. So you can see how that would certainly make living a little bit easier if you are not getting into the multifamily space to house hack and want to share, space with your friends or something like that. That's what I did. I rented a few rooms to some of my closest friends that were going to Brock. So I do like this one as well. And these houses, like when they're fully renovated and ready to go, like there's one listed right now for 650. We've seen them, during crazy times, sell into the 7s, but even now we're seeing them sell the 6s. So there is some upside to this.
Awesome. Yeah. And I did the same thing. Like I house hacked a student rental as well. And it's like not even half as crazy as it sounds, because you just you get a fantastic revenue stream. And if you're there, people tend to be a little bit more responsible anyways. And you get to take your time kind of vetting who's coming in. You can kind of establish sort of some house rules and sort of live by it. So I feel like it's not like some people might have a reaction to that, but it's actually not that bad. Another option that you have too, and I would have to check in on like bylaws and stuff. But another thing that I did there was I did room rentals on Airbnb, and it was actually one of the best experiences I've ever had. So you rent out the room in your house, so it's like a shared space. But I had people from all over the world coming. So in this context, like you might have people coming, like parents of the students coming, and they know they're going to be out and just having dinner and stuff with their kids, and they just want to have somewhere that they can come back to and sleep. And it was a great opportunity to meet people from all over the world, and it really juices up your revenue. So I think that's a great idea, Kayla.
Yeah, this one you can, like Airbnb, you can do in Thorold. You just have to get the same rental license that you would get if you're doing long term.
Sure.
And it's honestly fairly easy to get. It's just, $500 and a fire inspection basically. So it is definitely doable. And there are a few in the area. I own an Airbnb in the area. Mind you, it's not a room rental, but it does do quite well. Just because Thorold is central to everything. We're 10 minutes from very close to St. Catharines, 10 minutes from Brock, 10 minutes from Welland, 10 minutes from the Falls. So it's very central, and Niagara on the Lake's right there as well.
Awesome.
So, yeah. All right. This is a long-term rental. So this is one of our listings. It's listed for $685. The unique thing about this is it is three-bedroom units. You don't see that all that often. And decent sized 3-bedroom units. So you have the front unit, which is great size, great layout, open concept. And then you have one unit that is just living space on the main floor, and then the bedrooms are upstairs. And then you have a 3-bed that takes up the entire basement. The rents on this one are just over $5,900 a month. We have the rent roll and the expenses and stuff. It's generating a cap rate just under 8%. The tenants are good. There's parking for each unit. So each unit at the back has 2 spaces tandem. And it's down the street from a brand new condo. So about 10 houses away. They're about to, I think their occupancy date would actually be pretty soon, a brand new condo. And then about a minute the other way, they're building just shy of 1,300 units where the old hospital was. So it's in an area that is gentrifying for sure. And it is close. It's a minute from the highway as well. So this is one of those ones where if you're kind of looking to set it and forget it, this would be one of them. And if you run the numbers on it, it is, that cash flow's there from when you buy it. So
that's awesome. I mean, the way to look at this for me is like, it's only roughly double the price of the small house that we looked at, but it's essentially triple the investment, if you know what I mean. Like you get triple the value because you get all the same square foot, but only for double the price. And that just really helps out when you're starting to think about like revenue minus expenses. So economies of scale is always fantastic here.
Yes. So this is one of those ones that, you're going to sit on it for a while. You're going to refi it in a few years, as the tenants turn over and do some work to it. But also it's just going to fill your pockets while you're doing it. So it's one of those ones that is a little bit easier than the ones that come with the work. And it's sometimes hard with newer investors to kind of visualize how that would work, but it's just a matter of the carrying costs here are very different than if you have to put, your 80,000 in to do the conversion. You're collecting rent from day one and you just do it over time. So, and there is shared coin laundry as well. So it is there.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a 4-unit, turnkey, fully renovated. There's been over $200,000 put into this, and that's, larger capital expenses, but also it is very, very nice inside. So they're all above grade units, which is a bit of a unique factor. You have 2 2-beds, 2 1-beds. You're a 10-minute walk from the falls and the casinos and Clifton Hill and all the reasons people come to visit. And it is fully vacant. So that is one of the things I'm finding with a lot of the investors I work with is a lot of them are not super interested in taking on investment properties that already have tenants, unless it's like, obviously, once you get into your 10, 20 unit buildings, that's a lot more difficult. But in these ones specifically, the residential side, getting a vacant unit does have quite a bit of value because then you get to place your own tenants.
Yeah, that's certainly an advantage when it comes to like your personal preference on who you want to rent to and what qualities that makes up your tenant mix. So I think that's always a great advantage. And
it also allows you to build out your lease how you would like it. Obviously, if you're inheriting tenants, you're also inheriting the lease that comes with it. And sometimes they're not quite where, you or I might want our leases to be. So it's also just another good point when you're bringing on your own tenants. So and that one's in Niagara Falls, and it is, if you're familiar, they're building a new hospital, and they're also building a university, which already has students taking classes online. Both the hospital and the university are within 10 to 15 minutes from here.
Oh, that's fantastic. And another point to bring up here is like some people might be thinking about financing, and a vacant building is actually not bad for financing because then all your units are going to be at market rent. So it actually really helps you when it comes to looking at like securing and getting into this building, not having those older leases that have been, raising maybe by 2% over the last 10 years, but they're half the rent of what market would be. So it's always great again to see the vacancies.
Yes, definitely the some of the banks will look at that, and it does make a huge difference on even just approval. Like if you're looking at a single family versus this, your approval is going to go up because they are factoring that in. So it does make a difference. Okay, so I'm moving into commercial. Well, mixed use in this case, but still commercial. So this just came up in Welland. It's been up for 6 days. This street, downtown Welland, is slowly turning over. It still could use a lot of love, and this is why I think the city of Welland has very favorable grants for people to do their facade, for people to take care of the exterior. And depending on this street specifically, like I think it's the neighboring building or 2 down, there's a gorgeous new building, renovated building that just sold. And then there's one across the street that they just renovated that's up. So this is also a walk to the canal. You can actually see the canal from the upper windows. So as this continues to turn over, this area is just going to become more and more valuable. Your point of entry at $400,000 is pretty low. It does need work inside, but the thing that I love about this, and it's a type of financing that we've used before, is if you're owner occupying this on the commercial space, you can get 100% of your financing. So there's a few different banks that offer that, but we got ours through Meridian. And if you would buy it, I'm assuming either B or private, just with the work that it needs, do the work and then refinance into that program. And then you have 100% of it financed, which is a very underrated program, I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And just anecdotally, like I've gotten so much interest in my commercial listings that I had up for the last little while. Like, since November, I've had literally zero inquiries at all. And I was starting to get worried, but just this week, like I've had a flood of people coming in for a commercial lease listing that I have. And it's just, you can almost sort of feel like, okay, people are preparing for spring. People are preparing to kind of get back to business after a long break and after kind of COVID stuff. So I'm personally really excited about mixed use buildings and commercial buildings right now as well.
I agree. And the other thing to note about this too is, if you're supplementing your income upstairs, and exactly what you said with that, and there are a lot of businesses that this puts people at a price point where if you do own a small business, you might actually be able to, instead of renting, purchase something and putting your money towards your own mortgage as opposed to, to someone else's. Just this point of entry for a mixed use building is not super common. So
yeah, that's really actually quite amazing. And again, the advantage with commercial buildings, right? You get those turnovers a lot faster if you need them, and you can add so much value based on cap rates just by increasing the rent a little bit. Like I just turned over this store, went from $700 to $1,500 for that unit with no hassle, no landlord tenant board, and immediately added $150,000 of value to the building. And I put in $3,000. Literally
I saw
not
your
more.
Story. I was cheering for you. That is amazing.
But guys, that's what's possible. And at this price point, I mean, the financing just doesn't even count. It's so cheap.
Yeah, it was just like, it's for a mixed use building. It's crazy. And like I said, there's been a lot of improvement on the street, and you can expect that only to continue. So not only are you forcing the equity through renovations, through turning over tenants, through upping your rent, commercial tenants, you're also, you're banking on that continuing to happen on the street. So it's pretty exciting. This one, I have loved it. This was listed previously. It's listed again. I've been through this building several times. I really like this for several reasons. So you have 5 one-bed units on Main Street in Niagara Falls. For those of you who aren't familiar, this would be like a 5-minute drive from the falls. At $975, they're 5 one-bed units. You have the potential to raise the value of this. Again, through turning over, through increasing the rents. As you do that, what the building's worth increases. But it's on a 60 by 160 foot lot, and it's zone GC, so general commercial, which does allow for short-term rental. But I love this for that reason, and also for future development reasons. So you have a massive lot. it's super, super deep, but it's wide. You have parking in the back for the Airbnb. You have a potential area to turn this into, like fire pits and all that stuff that people go to Airbnbs for, turn it into a destination. And for the ambitious investor, if you will, you also can be earning income while you get your drawings approved to possibly knock this down or build something behind it as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, at $1,800, you're pretty close to 1% rule there too. So it's not as if this is a bad price by any stretch of the imagination either.
Yeah. So under $1 million, there's always, right now, there's usually some room to negotiate just in general in the market. People are, for the most part, listing where they're expecting that a bit. And with these commercial properties, the length of your due diligence is obviously longer. So you get to make sure that you check all your boxes before you go firm on a deal. And in this, like as an example, getting your VRU license, as the Falls calls it. So I do really like this. I have liked this for a while, for the people that are interested in doing short-term rentals, which recently has appealed to me more than the long-term side. You can do long-term in here as well. I just think from a financial standpoint, the short-term is going to be that close to the Falls, a better option.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You could even do a mix, right? And just really cover your bases and secure the investment.
Definitely. There is the opportunity for that too. Okay. So those are the deals. Questions, comments, concerns. No concerns.
If anybody watching has questions or comments, please reach out to Kayla directly and or leave a comment below if you see something that you like here or you want to see more of this. Like, I love it when we get deals right on the channel. And again, it just goes to show you that there's deals on the MLS, right? Like, it's not as if there's not. I know for a couple of years there, it was kind of scary looking at the MLS, but we're back in a stage where like you can go and with the right realtor get into these buildings and get these negotiated. So that's fantastic, Kayla.
Yeah. And I also just want to point out for those people that have, I didn't post any today, but for those people that have, maybe their budget's a little bit less than the stuff that we showed today, but they're looking to get into multi-units, maybe a duplex or a triplex. Fort Erie and Port Colborne are cheaper markets where there's, just as an example, there's a duplex right now that's up for $375. The rents are about $2,500. There is that opportunity there still. It's just outside of these, major cities. Major Thorold's tiny, but the rest of them are a decent size. So don't be discouraged, I guess is what I'm getting at. If your budget doesn't allow for these types of projects, there is a good chance that there's something in the Niagara market that would work for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. And then my last drive home point today is just, we work with a ton of investors. A lot of them are still renovating units as they turn over. They're still doing flips or BRRRRs. This is 23 Rossmore Avenue in Hamilton. The people who own this house did such a fantastic job renovating it. It's just super trendy. All of these things, if you're renovating, just don't do gray floors and gray walls. And I'm going to say it again. I say that as a hypocrite as I sit in my house with gray floors and gray walls that I did when it was all the rave. It's not anymore. People are looking for something like this. This is going to net you the highest rent. This is going to net you the highest return. This is a beautiful house. They did such a wonderful job. And I just wanted to bring that up for those people that are working on a reno or going to be working on a reno. This is the style that so many A+++ tenants are looking for, or the people that are going to be purchasing. So I wanted to bring this up. We're actually renovating a heritage house in Thorold right now. And it is all of the light floors, the green kitchen, the white walls. Like, it's very, very different than if we were doing this 3 years ago. It would have been gray floors, gray walls, and all that. So I really wanted to show this to everyone just as a wonderful example of what we find our best tenants and our best clients are looking for.
Yeah, that's awesome, Kayla. And I think it is important that we keep our eye on where the market's going, right? Like, if we fail to change as the market changes, then we'll fail to keep up with, potentially getting the best, highest and best use and the best price that we possibly can for properties. So I think it's a really great thing to point that out. And like, even just looking at these pictures, like these are very visually appealing, right? Like it feels
Yes.
warm, it feels like home. And I know that's a common complaint that you hear a lot is like how cold the gray and the white
Yeah.
feels. And like I'm sitting in one of these right now
Yeah.
too, and I'm like, damn it, like it is actually just cold. And when I look at this,
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that's a home, right? And
Yes.
the interesting thing is when people are looking, if you're trying to exit a property like this, people are looking for a home, not really a house when they're looking at properties. And I think that that differentiation could mean the difference between like tens of thousands of dollars. Like if somebody feels like this is home compared to another house that's on the market, like you certainly would stand a cut above. So that's awesome, Kayla. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and just as like we sold a flip for a client, and it was the gray, and it was, you know, all of the things that we're sitting in. And I do think that if it was, you know, if it leaned more this way, or even those very light floors that are very popular right now, it seems that's where we are, is either very light or very dark, or old hardwood is all the rave right now. But I think that it would have sold faster and for more. So there is a distinct difference, exactly what you're saying. So I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. I put the MLS number there too, if anyone wants to check it out. If they're looking for design tips, this is where we took ours from for the one we're working on. So yeah, hope this helps people as they're working through their projects. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kayla. I really appreciate you bringing us deals. We love deals here on the channel, and I know everybody at home is excited to see more of those. So thank you very much for coming on the channel. If you guys aren't already following, you've got her contact information there below. And please stay subscribed because we do these market update videos every single month, and we're going to be back here with more information and more deals for you next month.